I never imagined I would reach a point in my life where I'd sit down and openly share something so deeply personal, something that once filled me with guilt, fear, and regret, but also something that ultimately reshaped my understanding of love, commitment, and forgiveness. My name is Sarah, and I've been married to James for almost 12 years. When I think back to the beginning, everything about us felt effortless, like the universe had quietly aligned two souls that were always meant to meet. James wasn't just my husband, he was my safe place, my best friend, the person who knew how to calm my chaos without even trying. Our relationship was built on laughter, small traditions, and moments that seemed insignificant to others but meant everything to us. Like our Sunday mornings, those peaceful hours on the porch with coffee in hand, talking about random things, sometimes deep, sometimes meaningless, but always connected. I still remember the day he spilled coffee all over me while trying to imitate how I talk with my hands. We laughed so hard that I couldn't breathe, and in that moment, I felt completely certain that this was the life I was meant to live. But life has a way of slowly shifting things when you're not paying attention. The cracks didn't appear overnight, they crept in quietly. Responsibilities grew heavier, conversations became shorter, and the connection we once nurtured so naturally started to feel like something we had to remind ourselves to maintain. We weren't unhappy, but we weren't fully present either. We were existing side by side instead of truly being together. And somewhere along the way, I lost a part of myself without even realizing it. I felt invisible in my own life, like I was just playing a role instead of actually living it. That's when everything changed. I reconnected with someone from my past, an old acquaintance from college. At first, it felt harmless. Just conversations, catching up, reminiscing about who we used to be before life became so serious. But those conversations became something more. They became an escape, a place where I felt seen again, heard again, alive again. And before I even had the chance to fully understand what I was doing, I had crossed a line I once believed I never would. It wasn't physical, but it didn't need to be. The emotional connection I built outside my marriage felt like a betrayal just as real, just as painful. I carried that secret for months. It weighed on me in ways I can't fully describe. Every time James smiled at me, every time he told me he trusted me, it felt like a quiet reminder of the truth I was hiding. And then one evening, something shifted. We were sitting together just like any other night when he casually mentioned how much he valued honesty in our relationship. Those words hit me harder than anything else could have. In that moment, I realized I couldn't live like this anymore. I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay when I knew I had broken something so important. So I told him. I remember the tears falling uncontrollably, my voice shaking as I tried to explain something I barely understood myself. I watched his face as the truth unfolded, confusion first, then hurt, and then a silence that was more painful than any anger could have been. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just sat there, absorbing it all, and somehow that made it even harder. I could feel the weight of what I had done in that silence. The days that followed were some of the hardest we've ever faced. There were endless conversations, painful questions, and moments where it felt like everything we had built was hanging by a thread. I tried to explain how I had felt lost, disconnected, searching for something I didn't even fully understand, but I also knew that no explanation could justify what I had done. And yet, something unexpected happened. Instead of walking away, James chose to stay. Not because it was easy, but because he believed in us enough to fight for it. That decision changed everything. For the first time in years, we truly faced each other, not just the good parts, but the uncomfortable truths we have been avoiding. The stress, the distance, the unspoken frustrations, we laid it all out. It was messy, emotional, and at times overwhelming, but it was also honest in a way we hadn't been in a long time. We realized that while my mistake was mine alone, the disconnection in our relationship had been something we both had allowed to grow. Healing didn't happen overnight. There were days when the pain was still fresh, when trust felt fragile, and when we both questioned if we could really move forward. But slowly, step by step, we began to rebuild. We went to therapy, we learned how to communicate again, how to listen without defensiveness, how to show up for each other even when it was difficult. And I made a promise, not just to James, but to myself, that I would never take what we had for granted again. Through all of this, I learned something I wish I had understood earlier. Love isn't just about the happy moments, the laughter, or the comfort. It's about choosing each other even when things are complicated, even when it would be easier to walk away. It's about honesty even when the truth is painful. And it's about growth, not just as a couple, but as individuals. Today, James and I are not perfect, but we are stronger. We've rebuilt something deeper than what we had before, something rooted in understanding, resilience, and a commitment to never stop trying. We've created new memories, new traditions, and a renewed appreciation for the life we share. If there's one thing I've learned from all of this, it's that mistakes don't have to define the end of a relationship. They can if left unaddressed. But if both people are willing to face the truth, to forgive, and to grow, they can also become the beginning of something stronger. Forgiveness isn't easy, and trust takes time to rebuild. But when both hearts are willing, healing is possible. And as I sit here now, reflecting on everything we've been through, I feel something I never expected to feel again after that moment of confession peace. Because the road we walked, as painful as it was, led us back to each other in a way that is more real, more honest, and more meaningful than ever before.